Everyone is talking about Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris, two of the most controversial figures in the history of love and hip-hop, who were recently banned from reality TV. This comes after years of drama, betrayals, and moments that made headlines. However, what exactly happened behind the scenes that led producers to make this drastic decision? According to sources, it all began with an explosive backstage incident. Hold on, there's more to this story than what's being reported. Was this really just one fight, or was there something much bigger brewing behind the scenes? Betrayals or secrets? After years of being reality TV, royalty, Kirk and Mendeecees are reportedly done for good. On more cameras, no more confessionals, just a cold, hard reality that they never saw coming. The altercation was so intense and chaotic that security couldn't even contain the situation. Mendeecees Harris and Kirk Frost's tension had been simmering beneath the surface for weeks, but no one saw it coming this way. It began as a harmless shade and turned into a career-ending brawl that would rock the entire love and hip-hop franchise to its foundation. All of this happened at a private closed-door after-show taping, where cast members were supposed to air out their feelings, alliances, and shocking revelations. This scandal is deeper than anyone imagined. Stay tuned because we're about to break it all down. At least that was the plan before the official reunion episode. However, when you put egos, grudges, and drama-hungry reality TV stars in the same room, it's only a matter of time until something explosive happens. And that night it did. Kirk and Mendeecees had never been close, but there was mutual respect until recently, when rumors began to circulate that Mendeecees had been talking behind Kirk's back about Reckless, calling him a washed-up has-been who only remained relevant because of Rashid's. At first, Kirk dismissed the hustle because, after all, love and hip-hop prospered on drama, and loose lips were nothing new. However, when several people came forward to claim that Mendeecees had taken things too far, Kirk was unable to ignore it any longer. The whispers escalated into full-fledged accusations, with Mendeecees allegedly telling producers that Kirk was desperate to start a phony beef in order to stay on the show. Becky was a liability, adding nothing new to the franchise. To say, "I'm the one holding the show back," Kirk reportedly vented to the cast members prior to the fight, saying, "This man barely got out of prison, and now he thinks he's running things." According to inside sources, Kirk pulled Mendeecees aside before the reunion taping in an attempt to settle things man-to-man, but Mendeecees weren't backing down. "If you're worried about what I'm saying, maybe you should fix what's broken." Kirk's tone was infused with arrogance. Face twisted, jaw clenched, and that was all it took. What began as a heated argument escalated into a full-fledged screening match, with the cast and producers in complete shock. "You are a guest on this show," Kirk said, pointing a finger at Mendeecees' men. "I built this before you even got here." Kirk laughed slowly and mockingly, sending Kirk over the edge before security could react. Kirk then shoved hard, sending him stumbling back into a chair. That was the moment everything went awry. Security hurried in to try to separate the two men, but both were in a rage. Yandy Smith, Mendeecees' wife, was screaming at him to stop, and Rashida was desperately trying to pull Kirk away, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. The worst part was that it was all captured on camera. Someone in that room had taken out their phone, and the second things started to get tense. The moment Kirk and Em threw hands, the footage was already spreading like. Within minutes, clips of the wildfire began to circulate on social media, shocking fans with their comments. The production team was in full panic mode, and one producer reportedly declared that the fight was so brutal and intense that it was ending his career. Producers were forced to stop filming right away, pulling Kirk into a room where he was furious and still fuming, his face twisted with rage, and behind the scenes, executives were already making a decision that no one should ever know. Although fights were common on reality TV, what happened was too extreme, too dangerous, too raw, and too destructive. Before the night was even over, an emergency meeting called, the verdict was called, and Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris were about to receive the harshest punishment of their careers. This time, there was no turning back. The fallout from the fight was brutal and immediate, and within hours, the Love and Hip Hop production team was faced with a crisis that went beyond broken chairs and shattered EVs. The network executives weren't just upset, they were furious. Sure, reality TV thrives on drama, so some pushing and shoving was normal, but this was different. Two longtime cast members were throwing up in a way that could have caused serious injuries, and worse, the video had been leaked everywhere, and fans had already broken down every second of it, replaying the moment Kirk shoved Ems, the way Ems lunged at him, the sounds of glass shattering in the background, and social media was in a frenzy, and I never imagined that Kirk and Mendeecees would get into a full-on brawl. If Kirk and Mendeecees are fired from the show because of this, I'm done watching. Fans were split. Some supported Kirk, claiming that Mendeecees had no right to be disparaging a Love and Hip Hop original, while others supported Team Mendeecees, arguing that Kirk had no right to touch someone first. However, everyone agreed that this was one of the biggest scandals in the franchise's history, and the executives weren't just concerned about the public's reaction. They were also concerned about their reputation because the fight had gone beyond what they could make into good TV. There were legal issues, and sponsors were growing anxious that allowing Kirk and MC to stay would send the wrong message. The decision was made, and the following morning, Kirk and Mendeecees received the call that they had been officially fired from Love and Hip Hop. There was no warning, no second chances, just gone, and Kirk was shocked. Said to Rashida as she paced back and forth in their Atlanta home, "They haven't done anything like this before. They need me. I've been here since the beginning." However, Rashida knew better. She had anticipated this, and she told Kirk to stop putting his hands on Em, and word got out. They had no choice. Kirk wasn't trying to hear it, and his mind was clear. He wasn't just another cast member. He was Love and Hip Hop royalty. He had been on the show for more than 10 years, built his brand, made money moves, and now they were throwing him aside as if he were nothing more than Mendeecees. He was sitting in his living room with Yandy when he received the call, and as soon as he heard the words "letting you go," his entire body tensed. "No, that's not happening," he said, shaking his head. "I bring too much to this show. They need me." But Yandy wasn't going to let this go, so she snapped, grabbing her phone. "They're just going to throw you out after everything after we brought Story's show." Their relationship, legal issues, and family struggles had all been prime reality TV gold, but none of that mattered. "I told you not to let him get to you," Yandy muttered as she rubbed her temples. "Now, look, we're done." The phone calls and blogs continued to come in, and other cast members were adding their voices to the story. Before long, it wasn't just about the fight. New rumors began to circulate that Kirk Frost and MC's Harris Blake T from All Reality TV. Insiders claimed that several networks were now reluctant to collaborate with them. One producer even told the source, "We can't have another situation like this. If Kirk and Mendeecees couldn't keep it professional, how can we trust them on another show?" It was like the domino effect, with sponsorship deals on hold and potential spin-offs scrapped, their entire reality TV careers now hanging by a thread. But Kirk and Men weren't going down without a fight. Executives felt they were too much of a liability, and with how quickly things had escalated, nobody wanted to take that risk. Kirk, on the other hand, was thinking bigger. "If they think I'm just going to disappear, they have another thing coming." Kirk reportedly told a friend, "I built my name. I don't need Love and Hip Hop. I'll make my own moves." And just like that, the war wasn't just between them anymore, but between them and the entire Love and Hip Hop empire. He wanted to know if he could fight the decision and sue for wrongful termination, or at least get sort of payout. Both Kirk and MDC were not only reality TV stars, they were also staples of the genre, deeply ingrained in the fabric of Love and Hip Hop. The show had made them household names, and now they were being shown the door. However, neither Kirk nor the men of DCS were prepared to quietly relinquish their fame. They weren't about to be erased from reality TV history. Kirk, ever the businessman, promptly got to work because he understood the power of public perception. And Kirk decided that he needed to take charge of the story if he wanted to save his career. Instead of avoiding the spotlight, he made sure that everyone knew his side of the story. Within days of his firing, he sat down for an exclusive interview with a major blog, explaining the incident from his point of view. Listen to Kirk look straight into the camera. "What happened between me and Mendeecees was regrettable, but ultimately, I was defending my honor. You don't come at me like that, especially on my own turf." Kirk felt betrayed by the show he had helped create, which had featured his highs and lows, family drama, business endeavors, and one bad moment that seemed to erase everything. However, Kirk wasn't going to let that be the end of the story. He promised his fans that even though they might have closed the door on him, "Trust me, I've got plenty of other doors I can open from day one, and I've put in the work for them to just cut me off like that." It's foul. He wasn't just upset about the fight. He was hurt by his dismissal from Love and Hip Hop, but he wasn't going to accept it like Kirk Mendeecees did. Mendeecees understood that he needed to control the narrative, so he also reached out to the media. But his strategy was different. Instead of focusing on the fight, Mendeecees used his platform to discuss his journey, which started with an emotional Instagram live session. "From my legal battles to my time away from my family, I've always faced challenges head-on. And this is just another obstacle, but I'll tell you this, I don't regret standing up for. I've always been about respect, and I won't allow anyone to treat me disrespectfully on or off camera." Of course, Mendeecees was by his side, her face a mask of control, and she was furious, but she also understood how the game worked because she had been on reality TV long enough to know that sometimes you have to take the hits and come out stronger. "Trust me, you haven't seen the last of me," she told their followers during the live session. "He's been through worse than this, and we always come out on top." But behind closed doors, Mendeecees wasn't sure about being cut off from Love and Hip Hop was more than just a professional setback. It was a personal one. He had dedicated years of his life to the show, sharing his soul on camera, and now it felt like all of that was being taken away with one mistake. "I don't know if we're going to recover from this, man." One evening, the weight of the situation finally hit Mendeecees. Without Love and Hip Hop, what's left? Rather than wallowing in self-pity, Mendeecees was already considering their next course of action. At first, it seemed like just another piece of gossip, but as the days passed, sources from multiple networks confirmed that Kirk and Men swear being blacklisted from reality TV. Altogether, she assured him, "We've got our own brand now. The fans love us, not just the show. We'll figure it out." But the real blow came when news broke that not only had Kirk and Men fired, but they were also being banned from reality TV altogether. The news hit Kirk like a punch to the gut. Being fired from Love and Hip Hop was bad enough, but being blacklisted was a career death sentence. Without reality TV, Kirk's brand would lose visibility, and with that, his influence and income would dry up. It's not just about the fight. One insider claims, reality TV thrives on drama, but this went too far. No one wants to deal with the potential legal fallout or the possibility of losing control again, Kirk said. The calm in Kirk's storm tried to reassure him that "We'll figure something out, babe. You've got too much hustle in you to let this be the end." But Kirk wasn't convinced because he knew the reality of the situation without TV. He was a businessman, but his name and face were what kept his ventures afloat, and without that exposure, everything could fall apart on the other side. Rashida's frustration was evident in his voice one night. "They think they can just blackball me, but I've built too much to let it all fall apart." Men on the other side of the country were also feeling the strain. His phone had gone eerily silent, and opportunities that had previously poured in were now drying up. Brands were not contacting him, and his social media engagement was declining. It seemed as though the fight had caused Traer to be banned from the industry, so B told Mendeecees, with a frustrated tone, "I'm not going to be blacklisted, and this isn't how my story ends." The strategists had already planned to create our own opportunities, she said. Despite their audacious statements, Kirk and Mendeecees knew they were up against a formidable opponent. Being blacklisted was not a minor setback in the reality TV industry. It was about being excluded from an entire industry. As the days stretched into weeks, the gravity of the situation only increased because they had built their lives around their fame. They confidently stated that if they don't want us on their shows, we'll make our own show. We don't need them. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris, two of the biggest names in love and hip-hop, were facing the harsh reality of being blacklisted. The industry that once thrived on their drama, conflicts, and storylines had now turned its back on them, and they were facing the very real possibility that everything could fall apart. Would they actually recover, or would their argument mark the end of their reality TV reign? The silence was deafening. Interviews, no more cameras watching them everywhere, and no more large checks from reality TV. At first, neither man believes it. They had experienced highs and lows, public scandals, cheating accusations, and business failures, but they had always recovered. However, this time, something felt different for Kirk, and he realized that when he began contacting other reality shows in the hopes of getting a spot on another franchise, someone would give him a chance. Kirk had connections in the industry, people he had worked with for years. Chance, but every call ended the same way. "Man, I wish I could help you," a producer told him in a regretful voice. But the network doesn't want that kind of heat right now. The fight was too much. Nobody wants the backlash. It wasn't just about the fight anymore. It was about Kirk's reputation. He wasn't just viewed as a reality star who had been involved in an incident. He was now labeled as too risky, too volatile, and worst of all, bad for business. Rashida noticed the change in Kirk right away. The veterinarian now spent his days walking around the house with his phone glued to his hand, waiting for a call that never came. "We can make this work, sweetie." One evening, Rashida tried to reassure him, "You have the clothing stores and Frost Bistro," and Kirk cut her off. "And that's not the point, Rashida. This is what I do. This is who I am. If they shut me out, how do I stay relevant? How do we keep the brand alive?" Rashida had no response, and Mendeecees was busy planning how to turn their transforming personal brand into something greater. Mendeecees himself in a strange and uncertain place. He had built his life on hustle and staying ahead, but now it felt like every door was being slammed shut before he could even knock. Yandy wasn't one to sit around and wait for opportunities to come to them. If the industry didn't want them, they would create their own platform. She began contacting independent production companies, streaming services, and social media platforms. Mendeecees wanted to believe her, but he wasn't convinced. "Don't need VH1, she told him confidently. "We can take this to YouTube, Z Network, 2B, or wherever we want. We own our brand, we don't need their cameras, and we can hire our own ends. If we're not on TV, are our people even going to care?" Yandy's confidence never was Ed. "They'll care because we make them care. We just have to give them something they can't ignore." Meanwhile, fans were furious and social media erupted with arguments about whether Another user commented, "This isn't some regular drama. They fought on set. What did they expect?" The backlash wasn't just online. Former cast members, reality TV, veterans, and even producers were winning in Stevie J, Another Love, and Hip Hop. Another fan asked whether Kirk and Mendeecees deserved to be blacklisted or if they were being unfairly punished because they built love and hip hop. One fan said, "Now they're just getting tossed aside like they never mattered." Others weren't as sympathetic. They knew what they were doing. "I've been in this game for years, and let me tell you, there's a line that you don't cross." Kirk and I crossed it, but others weren't so sure and wanted us to act out on TV. A foreign cast member stated in a podcast interview that's what attracts viewers, but the second it gets too real, we're too much. That's some bullshit. Despite the public outcry, the network's decision remained firm, and Kirk and I were expelled. There were no second chances, so Kirk decided he wasn't leaving without a fight. The Leo battle wasn't just about Kirk's contract. He wanted damages and compensation for the years he had dedicated to the franchise, for the reputation he had built, only to be thrown out like trash by MCs on the other side. Kirk told his lawyer that this wasn't just about a fight, but more than that. He had been in the entertainment industry long enough to know his rights. If the network wanted to blacklist him, fine, but they owed him this. The industry erupted as the lawsuit became public, with one media insider stating that if CK wins, this could set a whole new precedent for reality TV stars. It's about power and control. These networks own their talent, but Kirk is fighting back. Kirk wasn't the type to sue, having been through the legal system before, and he didn't want to go down that road again. But he also understood Kirk had a point. They had given everything to the show, and now they were left with nothing. Rashida tried to put Kirk down, but Kirk wasn't listening. I'm not letting them win, Rashida. I'm fighting this to the end. DCS wasn't just blacklisted. They were radioactive, and no network, brand, or company wanted to be associated with them while they were in litigation. Yandy, on the other hand, saw the bigger picture and realized that Mendeecees didn't want to get involved in lawsuits and legal drama, so she made a daring decision to return to reality TV on their own terms, contacted producers to ask for favors, and soon the plan was underway for a new show that would be independent, uncensored, and raw. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris may have been banned from Love and Hip Hop, but that didn't mean that their story was over. The question now was whether or not the fans would follow them, and as you already know, the drama is far from over. One thing is certain, this scandal is just getting started. Do you think Kirk and Mendeecees should be given another chance, or did they go too far? Will their independent comeback actually succeed, or is this really the end of their reality TV careers? Let us know in the comments below if you want to stay up to date on all the shocking twists. The lawsuit has shaken up the reality TV world. Can Yo Mam's daring move bring them back into the spotlight on their own terms? Fans are divided, the industry is watching, and one thing is certain, this is just getting started. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This story is developing fast, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.